will be a really lovely practice, but we are going to start off, please, just with 2 blocks if you've got them. If you don't have 2 blocks, you can grab yourself a bolster. Either will work. And if you don't have either of those 2 things, well, that's fine. You can just work on the floor. But we're setting ourselves up to start off with in a child's pose, and we're angling the elbows up onto the blocks. Now, the idea here is to think about wrapping the elbow points in towards one another slightly, so that when you come to land on your prop, you're not landing on that bony prominence on the medial, the inner surface of the elbow, but you've landed the weight nice and flat onto that broader surface of the joint. So take your time to get into position, popping your elbows up on the blocks or up on the bolster. If you're already quite open in the chest and shoulders, you might consider popping your blocks up onto a medium or even a high setting if that works for you. I'm going to keep mine down nice and low. And as you work your way into this shape, you might need to adjust the rest of your body by maybe shuffling the feet and knees back or forward a little bit, and take the knees as wide as is comfortable for you. Now, I'm going to keep my head up so that my voice doesn't get muffled into my microphone, but I'd like for you to just let your head and your chest and your collarbones really surrender with gravity down toward the earth, letting the head hang heavy. And you can arrange your hands however you like, either bringing them to prayer, maybe bending the elbows and inviting the hands to rest at the back of the head or even behind the neck or between the shoulder blades. Just make the shape your own. But as you come to arrive here, we'll invite ourselves to settle with a few rounds of our reset breath, taking a big boisterous inhale through the nose, taking a second top-up inhale through the nose, and now exhale slowly through the mouth. Again, big nasal inhale. Take a second top-up nasal inhale. Let it out slowly through the mouth. Let the rib cage and the chest drop down. Good. And just taking 2 more rounds of that reset breath pattern on your own. Inviting yourself to arrive as you surrender the details of your day. When you finished your reset breath rounds, you'll bring the tongue to rest up against the roof of the mouth and come to meet the breath. This is a beautiful shape to really explore what I call the 3-dimensional breath. Maybe feeling the rib cage and the belly expanding against the resistance of the inseams of the thighs. Letting the sit bones spread wide. Keeping your breath smooth and subtle and slow. If at any stage you feel that you'd like to come out of this shape and into a regular child's pose with more comfortable arms, then of course, please listen to your body. Otherwise, just let yourself sink here. Lovely passive opening of the chest and shoulders. Good. Preparing now just to move out of this shape, making your way to a comfortable seat. Now, I always like to just join the 2 blocks together, pop my sit bones up on the blocks so that my pelvis is elevated, and that will encourage the pelvic bowl to just tip forward a little bit so the knees can sit on the floor. But you can take whatever upright seat feels good in your body. And today we've got quite a specific focus on the wrists, neck, and shoulders as we explore some different fascial maneuvers just to keep it fresh. I like to keep it fresh. Now, when you're ready, we'll take the left arm just out to the side in line with the shoulder, and we're looking to keep that left wrist and hand in extension. So the fingertips are really peeling up toward the ceiling, and you might already be feeling that in your left forearm. Can you create a feeling in your left hand as though you're actively pushing something away from you? We'll stay here and inhale, and as you exhale, slowly lower your right ear down toward your right shoulder. Bring the head back through center on an inhale. And exhaling, we'll take the right ear back down toward the right shoulder. Come back through center on an inhale. One last exhale, take the ear to the shoulder, leave the ear there now, and gently rotate your chin up toward the ceiling as you inhale. Exhale, take the chin down toward the right shoulder head. Inhale, taking the chin spiraling up toward the ceiling, turning the head. Exhale, take the chin back down so that right ear is still dropping down toward the right shoulder. And another inhale, turning the chin toward the ceiling. One last exhale, turn the chin, look down toward the right shoulder. Release the head. We'll release the left arm. Take a moment here just to feel the difference in the arms and taking it into the right side. Bringing the right arm out in line with the shoulder, fingers peeling up toward the ceiling, creating that feeling as though you're actively pressing something away through the palm of that right hand. Might feel a bit spicy in the right forearm, but it will die down in a moment. Stay here, take an inhale. Exhaling, tip the left ear down toward the left shoulder. Inhale, bring the head back through center. Keep that right palm pushing away from you. Exhale, left ear down to the left shoulder. Inhale, bring the head back through center. And one last exhale, left ear drops down to the left shoulder and hold it there. Reaffirm that action of pushing the right palm into an invisible wall next to you. And now on your next inhale, we'll swivel the chin and the eyes toward the ceiling. Keep the left ear dropping down. Exhale, turn the chin and the eyes down toward the left shoulder. Inhale, turning the head up. Exhale, roll the chin and the eyes back down to the left shoulder. One last inhale, looking up. And exhale, drop the chin, looking down toward that left shoulder head. And now release the head and neck and bring the right arm gently down to rest on your lap. We're going to change the cross of the legs now. So whichever shin you had in front, that's fine. We're just switching it up so that we've worked evenly in the hips, knees, and ankles. Continuing our focus now on the wrist joints. We're going to take the left hand, fold the thumb in toward the palm of your hand, and then wrap the other fingers in quite tightly around that thumb, stretching the left arm out in front of you and drop the knuckles down toward the floor. Now, this might feel quite spicy enough in your body today, but if you'd like something just a little bit juicier, you can take your right hand and just pick up the knuckles of that left hand and use your right hand to gently tuck the fingers even closer in toward the back of the wrist. It's like you're pulling the whole left fist back toward the chest. If you're looking to spice this up, you can think about driving the left wrist forward in space. Please stay connected to your breath, holding here. Keep squeezing the fingers of the left hand in, making quite a tight fist with the thumb tucked, gently pulling the fist in toward you, driving the wrist bone forward. When you're ready, we'll carefully release that, bringing it into the right hand side now. Right arm reaches out in front of us, tuck the thumb in toward the palm of the hand, then wrap the other four fingers in, making a fist. Let the knuckles just angle down toward the earth. And if this is enough, stay here. If you're right-handed, it's likely that this is going to feel a little bit spicier on this side. If you want a little bit more, we'll take the left hand just to cradle the knuckles and gently hug, squeeze that right fist, and then draw the knuckles in toward the chest. Maybe thinking about sending the right wrist bone forward, but really prioritize keeping the fingers hugging in tightly around that tucked thumb, drawing the fist in toward you, sending the wrist bone forward in space. Gently releasing through that in the right arm. Let the hands come to rest on your lap. Take a moment just to feel down the length of the arms, closing down the eyes. If it's your preference, you can, of course, leave the eyelids just slightly open. Now coming to just meet a smooth, steady breath here, feeling the rib cage and the belly moving freely. Inviting yourself to smooth out and slow down the breath. And when you're ready, we'll blink the eyes open, bringing our attention back into the wrists and forearms, this time working specifically into the ulnar nerve. We're going to bring the left hand to land on the floor just in front of you. So the fingers are angled back toward the shin, plugging the fingerprints down into the mat, and then gently plugging the heel of the hand down. If the heel of the hand doesn't make it all the way down to the floor, that's fine. Just keep working with the general spirit of this action. And now taking your right hand and just replicating that through the other hand and arm. If you found a relatively comfortable plug down with the hands into the earth, you might like to shine the collarbones forward, lifting the chin slightly and inviting the muscles on either side of your spine to gently ignite. We'll lift the chin, look over the right shoulder, and very subtly hug right hip and right shoulder closer together, bringing the head back through center. Picking the chin up, looking up and over the left shoulder, and then subtly squeezing the left hip and left shoulder closer together. Coming back through center and gently release. Take the weight out of the hands. You might feel like you want to give the wrists a little bit of a flick just to reward them. If you are sitting up on the blocks, just popping them out of the way and making your way now, please, onto all fours. Stacking the joints, shoulders over elbows, elbows over wrists, tops of the feet plugging down into the mat and finding a lovely hug or push of the fingerprints into the earth. Just disperse that weight nicely through the hands and the wrists. As you inhale, let the belly drop, the sit bones spread. Take the eye gaze up for upward facing cat. Exhale, tuck the chin round the spine, downward facing cat. Inhale, spine arches, lifting the eyes, arriving in your up cat. Exhale, tuck the chin round the spine, downward facing cat. One last inhale, arch the spine, looking up. And this time as you exhale, find side cat, squeezing right hip and right shoulder towards one another, looking past that right shoulder head. Inhale back through center and exhale, squeeze left hip and left shoulder together, just looking down toward the left shoulder. Inhale back through center, and as you exhale, we're moving into puppy pose. So leave the hips stacked above the knees as much as you can and think about just creeping your arms and torso forward. Please tuck your chin, let your forehead and the bridge of your nose come to rest on the earth, but you just rest your forehead and your nose on the earth and let the sternum and the rib cage just surrender with that beautiful gravitational pull down toward the earth. It's very useful in this shape to really think about keeping the hands and fingers plugging down, pressing down through the tops of the feet, shining and spreading the sit bones wide toward the ceiling. Maybe letting yourself sink it a little bit lower if that feels okay for you. When you're ready, making your way onto your belly, arriving in Sphinx pose, take a moment just to look down and make sure your shoulders are stacked above your elbows, tops of the feet plugging down into the earth. Think about wrapping the pinky side or the little toe side of the feet down toward the mat, creating a little internal rotation of the inner thighs toward the ceiling. And now plug the pubic bone down into the earth. From here, create a feeling as though your hands and elbows are working to drag the hip bones toward the top of the mat. Like you're trying to suction the elbows and the hip bones towards each other. It's nice to look down at the thumbs and pick up the back of the skull so that you're not collapsed or craning through the neck. Keeping that breath nice and slow. We're going to slide the right knee now out to 90 degrees. Keeping the ankle dorsiflexed, the toes peeling up toward the shin to stabilize the knee. As you lift up your head, looking over the right shoulder toward that bent right knee. Smooth, steady breaths here. Keep the hands and fingers plugged in, the elbows and hip bones magnetizing towards one another. And when you're ready, we'll reach the right arm out long toward the top of the mat and then thread the left arm underneath you. Taking the right arm now, spiraling up toward the sky and across, just landing in a really relaxed, reclined twist. If your right hand hasn't arrived on the floor, that's fine. The right arm can just hang out there in space. But if you're feeling any pinching or congestion in the back of the right shoulder, then shorten that lever by bending the elbow and bringing the hand to rest on the right rib cage. You might like to turn your head a little bit more to the right and invite the right shoulder to feel nice and heavy as the right knee moves toward the earth. When you're ready, we'll come back to arrive on the belly and then back up into your Sphinx pose, up on the elbows. Find that feeling of the outer foot, the little toe sides of the feet wrapping down, the pubic bone plugging down, and now drag elbows and hip bones towards each other. Sliding the left knee now out toward 90 degrees. Keep the ankle flexing, stabilizing through the knee joint. From here, maintain that intention of dragging elbows and hip bones towards one another. Peeking up the chin, looking over the left shoulder toward that left knee. Long, smooth, steady breaths. Moving the right hand forward just to get it out of the way. Sliding the right arm out underneath us and then yawning that left arm up and over toward the left side of the room. Again, if you're feeling any sense of discomfort or pinching in that left shoulder, just mitigate that by shortening the lever, bending the elbow, bring the left hand to land on the ribs. Maybe inviting the eye gaze and the head to turn more to the left, encouraging heaviness in that left shoulder, heaviness in the left knee. Taking your time now on an inhale to roll yourself back onto your belly, sliding the hands back in line with the ribs. As you inhale, shifting to all fours, we'll tuck the toes and on the exhale, lift the hips, drop the head low to arrive in downward facing dog. If you're craving something even more gentle, then of course, please use your child's pose as your next best alternative. Otherwise, finding some stillness here in your down dog, you might pick your eye gaze up and look just up beyond the knees toward the tailbone so that there's length in the neck and buoyancy in the base of the skull. Find a deliberate push down through the hands and arms like you're pushing the floor away from you so the side body lengthens and the sit bones tip up nice and high. On an inhale, we'll rise high to tip toes. Exhale, bend both knees deeply and look forward, but keep the tailbone tipping up to the sky. On the empty breath, we're going to shift the weight out, bring the shoulders over the wrist bones and land the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Staying up on the hands, straight arms. If your wrists are grumbling, you can work up on the knuckles, on the fists, if that's more comfortable for you. But we're staying up on the toes of the back foot so that we're quite elevated in this long, wide lunge. Stay here, and on an inhale, just feel the sacrum lifting up a little bit toward the ceiling. Exhale, let the pelvis drop down toward the earth, low and slow. Shine the heart forward, look forward. Inhale, pick up the sacrum again, pelvis lifts. Exhale, let the pelvis and the hips drop down, slow and low. Look forward, heart reaching forward. One last inhale, lifting up the hips. Exhale, let the pelvis drop down, shine the heart forward. We'll drop that back left knee, shin and foot down onto the earth, and create a feeling here as though you are really plugging down into the top of that left foot, almost as though your intention was to lift the left knee up, but keep the left knee gently kissing the mat, and curl the tailbone under. Shine the heart forward through the gateway of the upper arm bones. Smooth, steady breaths. If you're feeling like more of an adventure, you can drop down onto the elbows and forearms. If you need more of an intermediate place to land, you can use your 2 blocks, if you have them, to bring the floor closer to the forearms, landing the forearms on the blocks. But now we're finding that feeling once again, just as we did in our Sphinx pose, of dragging the elbows and hip bones towards each other, creating some traction. Keep the top of the left foot plugging down, the tailbone curling under, collarbones and heart space shining forward. When you're ready, gently coming out of that shape, popping your props out to the side, coming to land back on straight arms, and then tucking the toes of the left foot under, lift the knee. On the inhale, we'll step the right foot to the back of the mat, landing in high plank. And as you exhale, bring these to the earth, untuck the toes, tops of the feet plug down. On the inhale, shoulders float out over the fingertips. Exhale, let the pelvis gently drop down, taking the eye gaze nice and high. Exhale, toes tuck, lift the hips, arriving in downward facing dog. You might like to move your hands a little bit closer to your feet, shortening the distance between the hands and feet to create more stability in this shape. And this evening, I'll encourage you to just wag your tail. So we're just tipping the tailbone and swiveling it from side to side, exploring into the lower back, into the hips and pelvis. And then coming back to just seek some stillness in your down dog. Find the plug down through the hands and fingerprints and push the earth away from you. Let the eye gaze travel up just beyond the knees. At the end of your next exhale, let the rib cage sink, the belly settles toward the thigh bones. Inhaling, lifting high to tip toes. Exhale, knees bend deep, look forward. On the empty breath, we're landing the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Nice, wide lunge. Take your time to arrive. And as you do, with arms straight, you might choose again to work up on the knuckles, if that's better in your body, otherwise flat hands, but stay up on the toes and the ball of that back right foot. Keep the heart reaching forward in space. Inhaling, we'll float the sacrum and pelvis up slightly. Exhale, let the hips drop down low and slow. Inhale, picking up the sacrum. Exhale, let the hips drop down slowly. Keep the heart shining forward. One last inhale, pelvis lifts up. Exhale, let the pelvis drop down low. Taking the heart, reaching toward the front of the mat. We'll bring the back right knee, shin and foot to land on the earth. And now find that feeling of actively plugging the right foot down Curling the tailbone under, keep the chest shining forward. Smooth, slow, subtle breaths. You might choose to drop down onto elbows and forearms, or again, bring the forearms to land on the blocks if that works for you. But then reconnecting with the same intention we've been working on consistently. Plug the elbows and forearms down and drag the elbows and hip bones towards one another. Top of the back right foot plugs down, tailbone curls under slightly, heart reaches forward actively. When you're ready, we'll come back onto the hands, straight arms, and re-tuck the toes of the back right foot, lifting the knee. On the inhale, step your left foot to the back of the mat, high plank. Exhale, knees to the earth, untuck the toes, tops of the feet, plug down, send the shoulders out over the fingertips. Inhale, let the pelvis gently descend, take the eye gaze up. Exhale, tuck the toes, hips high, head low, downward facing dog. On an inhale, we're rising to tiptoes. Exhale, bend the knees deep and look forward. On the empty breath, we're landing the toes of the right foot immediately behind the right wrist. Take your time. Then swivel the back left heel flat to the mat. Plug down through the feet. Feel the legs are strong. And as you inhale, float the arms and torso up to arrive in Warrior One. As you arrive in your Warrior One, swim the arms back behind you and find an interlace of hands and fingers. Squeeze the shoulder blades together to broaden through the chest, lifting the arms away from the back body. Just reaffirming the bend in the front knee and filling out the profile along the outer edge of that back left foot. Lifting the arms, opening wide through the chest. You might think about tipping the chin up toward the ceiling. Remember to keep your tongue resting up against the roof of the mouth to create that foundational support through the deep front line. As you inhale, release the back left heel. Release the hands, reach your fingertips toward the ceiling. And on an exhale, in slow motion, lower the left knee all the way down to the earth. Hands come to arrive at heart center, palms together. As you inhale, take a lean forward. And as you exhale, hook the left elbow to the outside of the right knee, arriving in a twisted low lunge. Let your chin drop down toward the chest before turning your head, gazing toward the right elbow. It's useful to keep the palms really pressing against one another so you can lift through the heart and rotate nicely through the spine. When you're ready, on an inhale, we'll unhook that left elbow. Exhale, fingertips arrive just gently on either side of that front right foot and come into a half Hanumanasana, sending left sit bone back toward the left heel. Keeping your right heel plugging down into the mat here and creating some gentle torque in the hips by attempting to drag the right leg in towards you. Keep the heel plugged down and drag the left knee forward. It's a gentle pistoning action through the pelvis and the hips. Surrender the belly, chest, and forehead toward the earth. Take your time on an inhale to rebend that right knee, hands flat to the earth. Pick the left knee up off the ground and now step the right foot to the back of the mat. High plank. Inhale, knees to the earth. Exhale, toes untucked, tops of the feet plugged down. Send the shoulders out over the fingers. Inhale, pelvis gently descends. Take the eyes up. Modified gentle up dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, coming to downward facing dog. On an inhale, lifting to tiptoes. Exhale, knees bend deep, look forward. On the empty breath, land the toes of the left foot right behind the left wrist. You might even brush the toes against the wrist, just testing your control. Swiveling the back right heel flat to the mat. Plug down through the feet. Feel the muscles in the legs are engaged and supporting you. And then let the inhale do the work to lift you to your Warrior One. Arriving, exhale to soften the shoulders. Swim the hands back behind you and pick up the unfamiliar interlace of your pinkies this time. So whichever pinky wants to go on top naturally, just switch that up. Draw the shoulder blades together and lift the arms away from the back body. Deliberate bend in the front knee and filling out the footprint along the outer edge of the back right foot. Maybe tipping the chin and the eye gaze up toward the ceiling, keeping your breath moving smoothly. Gently releasing the head. On an inhale, take the fingers reaching up toward the sky, swivel onto the ball of the back right foot, and on an exhale in slow motion, bring the right knee to land calmly on the mat. Let the hands meet one another in front of your heart. Stay here, take an inhale. Exhale, lean the torso forward. And now twist to the left, hooking the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Keep the palms pressing against one another, heart lifting high. Let the chin drop down toward the chest before turning your head, gazing toward the left elbow. The breath will feel more compromised in this shape, but stay with it nonetheless. And inhale, unhook that right elbow. Exhale, fingertips to the floor. Inhale, send the right sit bone back toward the right heel, folding the torso forward in our half Hanumanasana, and plug the left heel down into the sticky mat, and then create that beautiful scissoring action in the hips as you try and drag the left leg toward your face, slide the right knee toward the top of the mat. Surrendering the face, the chest down toward the earth. Inhale, rebend the left knee, hands flat to the earth. Exhale, pick the right knee up off the mat, and as into the hips from all fours. We're going to drop down onto elbows and forearms and then take the knees out wide. Now, I know that this shape is not anyone's favorite position, but it does behoove us to just take the hips into this range of motion, especially when we're spending so much time with our legs crossed. So just let yourself arrive here, keeping the ankles flexing. So the toes are really peeling up toward the shin bones. That is your insurance policy for the knees, especially when your legs are in external rotation with bent knees. If you're feeling like you want to take this somewhere spicier, you can tip the sit bones back toward the heels. You might come down quite low, creeping the elbows out and arriving in very much the same shape as we started in, with the elbow point sliding forward, the face and the chest dropping low toward the earth. Try and stay calm, even in the face of relative discomfort in this shape. As long as you can keep your breath moving slowly, you know that you're in that sweet spot where the yoga is happening. When you're ready, take your time to just plug your hands down under the shoulder heads to push yourself back up. Bring the feet back together. Bring the knees back together. And from here, we'll just swing the legs out in front of us, arriving in Dandasana, staff pose, bringing some work and attention now into the chest and shoulders. Please slide the back of your wrists to line up with your buttocks. From here, we're lifting up onto the tips of the middle fingers, turning the palms of the hands to face the back of the mat, and then dropping down onto the hands. Push down into the hands to lift the chest. Now, we normally do this one with bent knees. This week, we're trying it with straight Dandasana legs. Keep your chin tucked, your heart lifted and bright, and the toes peeling back toward the shin bones. You might like to think about squeezing the inner elbow points a little bit closer towards each other. If that's too strong on the wrists, then leave that bit out. And now create a feeling as though you're attempting to drag your sit bones and fingertips closer together. Keep the breath moving. Carefully releasing that work, rising back up onto the tips of the middle fingers, dropping the back of the hands down onto the mat and gently pressing the backs of the hands down. If you want it stronger, take the shoulder heads back behind the ears, just looking down at the toes for now. Releasing the wrists, giving them a little bit of a shake. And now when you're ready, please bend your right knee. We'll bring the right foot over to the left side of the left leg and either leave the left leg where it is, or you can bend that left knee, slide the heel in toward the sit bone, but only if you can drop both sit bones down onto the mat. If you'd like a middle ground, think about popping a block underneath your sit bones, just elevating the pelvis to make it a bit more accessible. We're starting open belly. This is my new favorite way, to be honest, to work into twists, is starting with the open bellied version first. Hooking the right elbow to the inside of the left knee. Fingertips of the left hand rest gently on the floor behind you. As you inhale, pick up the collarbones and sit tall. And as you exhale, we're turning to the left. Just let the eye gaze angle down toward the left shoulder. Let the tip of the nose angle down toward the left shoulder. Adding in another layer of subtlety here with the chin and the nose angled down toward the left shoulder. Begin to pick the left corner of your jawbone up slightly toward the ceiling. If that was a step too far for you to coordinate, ignore that last instruction. But otherwise, you might notice how when you tip your jawbone up toward the ceiling on the left-hand side, we just bring a very specific tensioning into the tissue in the left side of the neck where it ties in to the base of the skull. Gently release the head. Unhook that right elbow. And now moving into a more classic version of the shape, hooking the left elbow around the right shin bone, fingers of the right hand rest gently on the floor behind you, or you can bring that right arm in to bind if that works better. Take an inhale to sit tall and exhale, we're turning to the right. On this side, dropping the eye gaze and angling the nose slightly down toward the right shoulder. Smooth, steady breaths. Keep the right sit bone anchored down, especially if both of your knees are bending. On the inhale, releasing just the head. And as you exhale, release the chest and shoulders. Leaving the legs as they are, bring the fingertips down to rest on the floor next to your left hip and bow the torso forward. Let the right sit bone lift away from the mat. And then once you've arrived, you could even drop down onto your forearms if you like. But once you've arrived here, make the attempt to plug that right sit bone back down. So we're really bringing the awareness into the outer hip, glute med, and into that four-cornered muscle that connects the back of the pelvis to the lower back, to the back of the rib cage, the QL. Calming back slowly to sit upright. Taking both legs out long to reset, Dandasana, staff pose. Bending the left knee, bringing that foot over to the right side of the right leg. Maybe you're bending the right knee as well, but please make sure to drop the left sit bone down. Hooking the left elbow to the inside of the left knee. Fingertips of the right hand rest very lightly on the floor. Take an inhale, pick up the rib cage, sit tall, and exhale, open belly twist to the right. Just gently pressing the left elbow against the inseam of the left knee to bring you into rotation. We're angling the nose and the chin down toward the right shoulder. And from there, gently picking up the right earlobe, the left earlobe, the left corner of the jawbone, just angling that up slightly. So the chin and the nose are pointing down toward the shoulder, and we're subtly picking up the left corner of the jawbone, just bringing that tensioning into the base of the skull and the back of the neck on the left-hand side. You might rotate a little bit further if you feel like you've opened up a bit here. And releasing the head back through center. Unhook the left elbow, bringing the right arm across, picking up the left shin, hugging it in towards you slightly, fingertips of the left hand on the floor, or bring the arm in to bind. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, turning to the left. Let the eye gaze just drop down on this side toward that left shoulder head. Long, smooth, steady breaths. Inhale, releasing the head. Exhale, releasing the shoulders. Fingers come to land on the floor just next to the right hip and bow forward low. Let the left sit bone lift off the floor. You might come to drop down onto the hands and forearms. But once you've arrived here, then the work is to think about reattaching, rerouting the left sit bone back down toward the mat. Bringing it into the lower back on the left-hand side, into the left hip. Let the head bow low. Left sit bone anchors down. Coming to sit tall slowly when you're ready. And resetting, taking the legs out long, Dandasana, staff pose. Moving into Paschimottanasana this evening, you're encouraged to really keep your knees bent so that we're draping the torso out nice and heavily over the thighs. If your elbows have landed on the floor, you can just bring your head to rest in your hands. Another option is to pop a block on your shins so that your head can land there. Just finding a very supported, restorative version of this shape. Avoiding tugging on the feet with the hands. Just let the hands rest on the floor. Let the forearms and the upper arm bones feel heavy. Allowing your forehead to just sink into the support of the block or your hands. Keeping that breath moving and noticing the contact of the belly against the thighs as the breath moves. When you're ready, gently release. Coming back to sit upright, knees bent, reaching the fingers and arms forward, tuck the chin, round down and roll down slowly onto your back. Hugging the knees in toward the chest, Uppanasana. You might notice the instinct to cross the forearms and grab hold of the opposite arm for support. Instead, can you just let your hands rest independently, left hand on left shin, right hand on right shin, just underneath the kneecaps, so that as you squeeze the knees in toward you, there's minimal tensioning or effort in the chest and shoulders. You might feel called to turn this into a happy baby pose. And I'd like to encourage you, if you're going into happy baby pose, to think about tucking the kneecaps into the armpits. Even if that is very far away in your experience of the shape, we're still working with that intention. You might need to take the knees a bit wider or play with the angle of the upper thigh bones. But thinking about just tucking those kneecaps into the snug landing points of the armpits. Smooth, steady breaths. And maybe your happy baby pose becomes an unsupported Viparita Karani Dandasana Mudra as you take the legs up toward the sky and rest the arms alongside your body. You might feel called to turn this into a shoulder stand. Choose the version of this inversion that works best for you. If you're in your Viparita Karani, you might float your fingers up toward the ceiling, but just think about keeping the upper arm bones anchored down. Again, there's minimal effort, minimal work across the chest and shoulders. Just very passively allowing lymph and blood to move with gravity, to drain back towards the pulmonary circulation and the thoracic ducts for the lymphatic system. If you've come into a shoulder stand, just stay there for 5 more slow, smooth breaths. If you're still taking your final breaths in shoulder stand, just finishing that up in your own time. And when you're ready, everyone just hugging the knees back in toward the chest, landing the feet on the earth and gently windscreen wiping the knees from side to side. To bring us toward the end of our practice this evening, we're shifting gears into breath mode, into our pranayama. So if you're wanting to pop on a jumper or your socks, now is a good time to do that. And when you are ready, we'll roll onto our bellies and arrive in Makrasana, crocodile pose. Laying on your tummy, stacking your hands one on top of the other. Bring your forehead to rest down onto your stacked hands and let the heels drop away from the toes. Just really dissolving any effort, any tension in the glutes and the hips. You might even just give your hips a gentle wiggle from side to side. Good. Stay here. And notice the contact of your belly against the mat. Bringing your attention into the movement of the belly as you breathe. We often hear talk in the yoga verse of belly breathing, which is a misnomer, a misunderstanding. But what we are trying to do is to really move the rib cage. As the rib cage moves and the respiratory diaphragm is moving the breath, there will naturally be movement in the belly. In this shape, we are looking to deliberately push and expand the belly against the earth so that the rib cage can move freely. There's no counting, nothing else to do. Can you give yourself permission to settle here for a few minutes? The inhalation quite active as you expand the belly against the resistance of the earth, and allow your exhalations to feel very surrendered, like an offering. And keeping both sides of the breath slow and smooth. The belly expanding, rib cage expanding as you inhale, and a gentle surrender As you exhale, let gravity embrace the ribs. And stay with this. Keep your attention in the belly, softening and surrendering with each exhalation. Beginning to play with the tail end of your inhale now. Right as you reach the peak of your inhale, can you stretch the inhale out slightly? Find a little bit more room for a little bit more of a sip of air. And slow the next exhale right down. Right at the top of your next inhale, can you keep that inhale moving? Find more space. Exhale slowly, fully, surrendering. And at the end of your next exhale, rolling yourself onto your back for your Shavasana. You might like to come via a child's pose just to lengthen into the spine once more. Otherwise, just roll straight over onto your back, turning the palms of the hands to face the ceiling, encouraging the chest to feel wide. Allow your toes to fall away from the heels and surrender any gripping in the groins. Allowing the whole body to sink, to drop down into the support of the earth beneath you. And noticing the contact of the heels, the weight of the calf muscles, the contact of the upper thighs, and the spread of your buttocks. The curve of your lower back, the middle back, and the rib cage. The upper back, the curve of the neck, sliding attention across the delicate collarbones, down into the long upper arm bones, past the elbows and into the forearms, into the wrists, into the hands and fingers. Summoning awareness to gather in the hollow of your throat and letting it radiate up into the jawbone, into the teeth, into the cheekbones. the temples, the forehead, wrapping that awareness across the top of your head, encapsulating the whole skull and allowing that gentle attention to penetrate into the brain, quietening the head and resting. Allow your breath to deepen slightly now. Inviting some gentle movements into your fingers and your toes. Rotating into your wrists and ankles. And gently swallowing to lubricate your throat. Taking whatever gentle, careful movements that feel appropriate in your body. Maybe stretching the arms back behind you or hugging the knees toward the chest. And take your time to roll onto your favorite side before slowly curling your way to an upright seat. As you arrive, remaining for just a moment longer with your eyes closed, your attention directed inwards. As you notice how you have arrived here at the end of your practice. Floating the palms to meet one another in front of your heart, or if you prefer, landing one hand on your chest and the other against your belly. As we punctuate the end of our practice with gratitude and acknowledgement, offering our thanks for the gift of this day, our lives and our health, and extending our respects to one another and to the custodians of this living tradition. As always, my very sincere respect, gratitude, and affection to you all, my friends. Thank you for your company, your energy. Have a restful evening and a wonderful week ahead.